Laura, I wanted to ask you, so when I look back at just my own experience growing up, in one way, I'm appreciative because I think my inquisitive nature around the Bible led me to develop like a framework for researching things to search for truth. Do you think that growing up religious and having gone through that, especially in your adult life, even though it was off base, that it actually helped you in your research develop like a critical thinking framework?
Oh,
Because
sure.
the Bible is so enigmatic, and you start to do all this research and then you start to piece stuff together. So do you think in a way that actually like helped develop your critical framework and understanding of how to research?
Yeah, and there's actually a book about that written by a Canadian psychologist, Bob Altemeyer. It's called Amazing Conversions. And he talks about the fact that Christians who leave Christianity, who give up their faith and basically step out of the church, well, in tests, they test as being, very intelligent, and some of these psychological personality tests, they test for being, independent thinkers, critical thinkers, all these kind of things. And so he got a lot of them and tested them, and then of course he had a corresponding group that became converts after being raised in, say, atheistic households. And interestingly, the ones who became converts after being raised in a godless home were less intelligent,
Right.
uh, along with other personality factors. But you have to read the book to get all of the different factors. But in any event, what he said was that somebody who was raised in a Christian home, the first thing is they are taught to value truth, because Jesus says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." And of course, the truth, this book right here, this is the truth. This is the word of God. Pum pum pum, and I believe in it, and that sort of thing. But you're taught to value that.
Right. Right.
And the thing is that that very teaching, works against
Right.
religion, because when you start thinking about the truth and you start praying, as I did, you start turning your questions on your religion itself, because you begin to see that there are things. If you're sincere, you're reading the Bible.
Right.
Catholics don't read the Bible. You're not in perfect Jay.
I
Yeah,
have read the Bible though, but just continue.
but as a rule, they don't read the Bible.
True.
But, I read it the first time through, I think when I was, like, 11 years old or something, and I've read it through from start to, cover to cover, several times. And if you do that and you're reasonably intelligent, you
You're
see
like,
the
what?
contradictions are in there,
Yeah.
and there's a whole lot of things that don't fit, and that inspires you to ask some questions. And
Yeah.
if you don't get immediate answers, if you're persistent, you start looking for answers on your own. And then you end up finding out, oops, you know, and you think about Pascal's wager, better to believe and be found to be wrong than to not believe and to be found to be wrong. Well, forget about that. What if you believe in something that's such a complete mishmash
Farce.
of nonsense,
Yeah.
because God is testing whether or not you have brains enough to find your way out of it and get to the true spiritual nature of yourself and your life and the world and God and everything in it.
That's what
So
my dad used to say to me, by the way, just the whole Pascal thing, but he used to say it's risk beneficial to believe. That's what he used to say to me.
no, it's not very beneficial, because you have to swallow a whole lot of nonsense.
Yes.